They hid Christianity in Japan for 250 years, without a single Bible. Forbidden Bible, Japan. The cathedral, the miracle as the cold open. Distant ocean, footsteps on stone. March 17, 1865. Nagasaki, Japan. A newly built cathedral stood on a hillside, the first Christian church Japan had seen in centuries. A small group of Japanese villagers walked through the doors. A woman approached the French priest and spoke quietly. "Your heart and our hearts are the same." Fragile, wondering. The priest did not understand at first. Then she asked where the statue of the Virgin Mary was. And Father Petit-Jean realized these people were Christians. Their families had been Christians for 10 generations. Without a priest, without a church, without a single Bible. For 250 years. This is how they survived.
The arrival. Japanese coastline. A wooden ship gently rocks near the shore, its sails lowered after a long journey across the sea. A Jesuit missionary dressed in traditional robes carefully steps onto the sandy beach, gazing at the unfamiliar land before him. The sound of waves softly crashing and distant calls of seagulls fill the air as he begins his mission. On the 15th of August, 1549, the Feast of the Assumption, a Spanish Jesuit priest named Francis Xavier stepped onto Japanese soil. He had already transformed the missions of India and Southeast Asia. He had been warned that Japan was different, that the people were proud, intelligent, fiercely independent. He came anyway. Francis Xavier, Kilomètre 6,152. Japanese townspeople, a marketplace, a feudal lord receiving visitors. In a letter to Rome, Xavier wrote, "The people whom we have met so far are the best we have discovered anywhere. It seems we shall never find another race to equal the Japanese." The faith spread with a speed that astonished even its missionaries. Within 50 years, Japan had nearly 300,000 Christians. Samurai lords had converted. Entire regions had turned. The church had established schools, hospitals, and printing presses. A Japanese Bible printing press. Monks at desks, diligently working on their manuscripts with focused attention. A church bell rings softly in the distance, marking the passage of time. The atmosphere is serene, filled with a sense of devotion and quiet purpose. It looked for a moment like Japan might become the most Christian nation in Asia. During that brief period, Christian missionaries made significant inroads, spreading their faith across various regions of the country. Many local communities began to embrace the new religion, fascinated by its teachings and values. His sudden growth suggested a remarkable transformation in Japan's religious landscape that seemed poised to continue. That moment did not last. In 1597, Japan's ruler Toyotomi Hideyoshi made a decision. 26 Christians, 6 foreign priests, and 19 Japanese converts, including 3 young boys, were arrested in Kyoto, forced marched 600 miles to Nagasaki, and crucified on a hillside overlooking the sea. The 26 Martyrs of Japan, February 5, 1597. It was a message, delivered slowly over 600 miles so the country could watch. Soldiers moving through villages, a document is being stamped, a wooden cross. The Tokugawa shogunate went further. They built a machine for hunting faith. Every household in Japan was required to register with a Buddhist temple, proof in writing that you were not Christian. The paperwork became a weapon. If your name was missing from the right document, soldiers came. They called it the fumi. Each year, in every village, soldiers laid an image of Christ or the Virgin Mary on the ground. Every man, woman, and child was required to step on it. Those who hesitated, those whose feet slowed, even for a breath, were pulled from the line. A sharp crack, then silence. The methods of execution were chosen specifically to be terrifying. Crucifixion, burning alive, boiling in the hot springs, drowning beneath frozen lakes. And then, the pit. The authorities discovered that conventional martyrdom was only producing more martyrs, so they developed something worse. The condemned were hanged upside down over a sulfurous pit, a small cut made behind the ear, just enough to bleed slowly. The average time to die was 1 week. Stone walls, a hillside, a pit in the earth, absolute darkness. Historians estimate that as many as 500,000 Japanese Christians died over the following 2.5 centuries. 500,000. And Christianity, officially, ceased to exist in Japan. The survival. Silence, deliberate, stretching. Except it didn't. Let it land. In the remote fishing villages along the Nagasaki coast, on the Goto Islands, on Ikitsuki, in the coves of Amakusa, something was happening that the shogunate had not accounted for. A single note on strings, then a slow, quiet melody, something almost hidden. Families were whispering. Parents were teaching children things that could get them all killed. They had no church. They had no priest. They had no Bible. No Bible, no priest, no church. They had each other. And they decided that would be enough. How they hid a fishing boat at night, hands folded in prayer, a small figurine in a family home. The hidden Christians, the Kakure Kirishitan, built a system so precise it survived 10 generations. They divided the work of faith into roles. Each community had a chakata, a keeper of the sacred calendar, who knew which days to pray and which days to mourn. A mizukata, who performed baptisms in secret over fishing boats in open water where no soldiers could observe. A kikiyaku, who heard confessions in darkened rooms. A osazuki-yaku, who memorized the sacred words and passed them to the next generation before they died. No position was written down. Everything was memorized. An elder whispering to a child, hands clasped, a dawn light. Their prayers, when called orasho, were Latin and Portuguese, worn down through generations of oral transmission until the words had changed shape. Words that were already centuries old, now blurred, transformed, half remembered, but still sacred, still prayed, every morning, every night. Because a prayer you carry inside, you cannot be confiscated. A Japanese ceramic figure, serene, unmistakably Marian. And then the Mary. The hidden Christians needed a way to venerate the Virgin, but any obvious image of a Madonna was a death sentence. So they disguised her. They carved figures that resembled Kannon, the Buddhist bodhisattva of mercy, a figure the soldiers knew and trusted. To any outsider, a statue. To a hidden Christian, the Mother of God. Maria Kannon, hidden in plain sight. It was not confusion, it was camouflage. For 250 years, 10 generations, no priest came, no Bible arrived, no missionary crossed the border. And the faith held. The miracle of 1865, a cathedral on a hillside, Nagasaki harbor, a French priest at the door. In 1865, Japan had been cautiously reopening to the world. A new cathedral had been built in Nagasaki, Ura Cathedral, the first Christian church in Japan for centuries. It was built for the foreign community. Japanese citizens had no reason to enter. On the 17th of March, a group of 15 Japanese villagers walked up the hill. The French priest, Father Bernard Petitjean, watched them enter. He assumed they were curious locals, tourists perhaps. A woman approached him. She spoke very quietly. Your heart and our hearts are the same. The interior of Ura Cathedral, light falling through stained glass, a priest still. Petitjean did not understand immediately. Then she asked, Where is the statue of Santa Maria? He led her to the side chapel. She knelt. She wept. And then the others came forward, one by one, whispering that their families had kept the faith, that they prayed every morning, that they baptized their children in secret, that they had been waiting for 250 years for a priest to come back. Father Petitjean called it the greatest miracle of the modern church. March 17, 1865, the discovery of the hidden Christians. Historians later found that this small group represented not 15 people, but 50,000 hidden Christians living in the hills and islands around Nagasaki. 50,000. For 10 generations without a single Bible. The Godo Islands at dawn, a church bell, an open Bible, a family gathering. The story did not end cleanly. Even after the rediscovery, the new Meiji government exiled more than 3,000 hidden Christians in 1867, scattering them across Japan in one final attempt at erasure. Religious freedom was not guaranteed until 1873. Many of the hidden Christians by then had blended their preserved faith with Buddhist and Shinto elements so thoroughly that some chose not to return to the formal Catholic Church. Their tradition, the Kakure Kirishitan, had become its own living thing. In 2018, UNESCO inscribed the hidden Christian sites of Nagasaki as a World Heritage Site. A Maria Cannon figurine in a museum case, a fishing village, children playing near a chapel. There are people alive today who are direct descendants of those 10 generations, whose great-great-great-grandparents stepped on a fumi and kept the prayer alive in their chests on the walk home. They had no Bible. They kept every word. You cannot outlaw what lives inside a person. History is his story. Please subscribe. Watch next. George Schmidt, Forbidden Bible, South Africa.